And knowing these things, what I found is that knowing the producer, seeing that there is a person, more than just storytelling, because we've had that aspect for many years, and it's really just been storytelling to some extent. But what happens when you realize that there are real people, right? That there are real families behind these things, it makes you a lot less wasteful, right? You start to move away from, oh, I'm gonna drop, 22 grams into this basket and extract 18 grams, and it's gonna be beautiful and amazing and whatever. And you start to realize, oh, wait a minute, there needed to be this amount of rain and this amount of water to produce this bean, right? To produce this coffee, that extra 4 grams that goes in that basket, right? These people had to slave away and do this and pick this up, and there's a human element to getting that coffee to get to this point. And if you're not being a good steward of it and letting beans fall on the ground and fall into the pitcher rinser, right? And you're grooming and you're not reusing the coffee that you're removing from the portafilter to get to your exact weight. There is someone, and there's a ecological impact as well. That's
Yeah.
that's not being accounted for, right?
And don't forget, no, at the end of the day, it really makes you a better person.
Yeah.
It makes you a bit more humble, right? It makes you a bit more aware, right? It makes you nicer. It makes you more patient. Teaches you to, because you are able to remotely honor in a very small part someone that you never see, teaches you how to honor people face to face. So these are not empty and mindless things, right? Because I was like saying just now, right? Because you were asking me how I started, so I was in Starbucks, but very quickly on I realized that I prefer the people. It's not the product. And the reason why I believe in the barista craft was because I really believe that you can be a better human being a barista, like a chef. That's what I believed last time. Now I realize that it's the crafting that's important, right? The ability to slave away at 8 hours and produce something with your hands, right? So because of that, I think it was very easy for me to adapt and say that, okay, we can train marginalized women to be more confident, teaching them coffee. It's not the coffee, it's the process of making the coffee, right? We can instill confidence in youth. We can teach youth to be more resistant, right? We can teach them to be stronger. We can teach them to overcome fear, to courageous, to be brave, right? To not get beat down or to stand back up, to try again, right? Try again, adjust and try again, by the way, is one of the youth programs, right?
Nice.
It's based on the fact that everything we do in coffee, when you learn how to steam milk or you're steaming milk or you're learning latte art or you're dialing in the grinder, you always make one adjustment and you try again. Then you make one adjustment and you try again, right? So that's a program. That's literally a program that we have, right? It's a resilience training for the youth, right? So along the way, of course, I traveled a lot. I've backpacked a lot, and then after a long stint and then of course I worked in central kitchens as well, right? So after working in F&B generally and coming back to specialty coffee, and then after that, one time Pam just said, I heard you're in between work. Want to come work at Bettr? This was the first year in at Bettr Barista. Right now, I think I'm one of the longest employees, right? Being the head trainer. And that's essentially how I started in Bettr. So it revolves around people. And my trainers, they love coffee, right? But they like people more.
I think that this is something that I think is very true to the heart of the concept of Let's Coffee. When someone says Let's Coffee, it's not really about the coffee. The coffee is just an excuse, right? Or it's just a reason for us to be here and to be together. But it's really about, the connection, investing time to getting to know someone or show someone that they are valuable to you. And so what you guys have done is you've taken the process of being a barista and making the coffee, and it's just the excuse to become better individuals
Yeah.
in the process. I think that is tremendously admirable.
Do you feel like nowadays there's certain segments of the industry that's becoming more exclusive, right? Like,
Well, the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
like almost snobbish about coffee.
The answer is yes.
So yeah, and I always remind my trainers we can't think this way, right? You see, when governments and the economy goes into recession, right? The governments care about a few things and only a few things. One of those things is jobs,
Mm.
right? If we are doing coffee education, right? Now, I'm not talking about mentoring. Also, like you want to be a barista, I'm a senior barista. We do a one-to-one apprenticeship. Okay, and that's different because when you want to apprentice under me, you want to learn my passion. You want to learn my style. You want to learn my flavor, right? But when we are running an academy like this and we're running a school and we provide training, at the end of the day, the training must relate to jobs. And here's the thing about exclusivity: we don't train just for specialty coffee cafes. Because working in a cafe that does Frappuccino is also a job. Yeah, working in a cafe that doesn't have a Lama Zoko and a Mitos, right? But has a good crew. They have a couple of outlets, right? There's chance for progression. It's still a job.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of count out these other cafe jobs, but there are only so many specialty coffee barista jobs in even in the world,
Yeah,
right? You look at that and you see it as like college basketball. So many kids are graduating from college basketball every year, but there are only 490 jobs in the NBA. That's it.
yep,
It's not going up. It's not coming down. It's always going to be that.
yeah,
Always 490 jobs. You see it with like airline mechanic, right? Every year they graduate 600 kids, but there are only so many jobs
yeah,
in airline mechanic. Luckily, we are in an industry where there are only so many specialty coffee jobs, maybe, but there are other jobs that you can do. And you can better yourself through those jobs. There are
yeah,
things that you learned at Starbucks that you could not learn somewhere else.
yeah, right. Agree, right? So it's always about training for the ground and being realistic to the needs of the ground or what happens on the ground, but always pointing up to the ideal, right? So our classes we point towards specialty, right? But it's to train you for a job. Yeah. So yeah, exclusivity, and coffee is not a very good place to be exclusive, right? Coffee, I mean, look at our baristas, right? Coffee baristas tend to be one of the more vocal activists, more inclusive industries, right, in the world, right? So yeah, we don't have to be that snobby about coffee, right? So yeah,
It's it's something that so many people have in common. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it is an equalizer
yeah,
as well.
right,
And it would be wise of us to acknowledge that aspect of it and respect that aspect of it, right?
yeah.
Um,
In Bettr, we teach the local coffee class as well.
okay.
You know the Singapore local coffee. So
Yeah,
the
yeah,
coffee,
stretching
yeah.
and
So we have that class as well. So you can imagine how we balance out the situation, right? Because on one hand, I have the SCA, and I have the Q grader program,
yeah.
and then we have high level specialty Arabica, and I dabble in fine Robusta.
To put into perspective, how much does a cup of coffee cost in Singapore?
In Singapore, probably about $1,
Okay.
$1.50 around there, right? Yeah. So how do we teach Robusta in a specialty Arabica forward specialty coffee class without insulting people who make Robusta for a living, right? And that was something that we had to think very clearly.
How?
Right? By being humble about coffee, by being factual about coffee, right? That Robusta farmers are people as well, right? And there's a reason why your Kopi O, right, is $1.50 because the cost price is lower, right? And there's a reason why specialty coffee is $4, $5, or $6 because cost price is higher. But your Robusta industry is very honest. Like I can't sell a kopitiam coffee for $6. No one's going to buy it from me. So it's very honest. But sometimes when you're paying $8, $9 for a cup of coffee, how do you know it's specialty? Right? How do you know the farmer got paid properly for the coffee? How do you know that the business owner isn't bluffing you? How do you
Yeah.
know that the cafe is cool and it's nice latte art, but your coffee may not be specialty? Right? And that's why, again, coffee is such a weird product because people, you may not know what you're drinking.
Yeah. I think people don't understand that like specialty is more than a grade.
Yeah.
It's more than a number. Like direct trade, fair trade, all those things, those are, personality traits
Yeah.
to the coffee that are beyond just the flavor. And the flavor is just a byproduct of us all conducting ourselves in a certain manner, all the way from the farmer, right? The man who watches the tree so that the birds don't eat the cherries,
Yeah.
down to the barista,
Yeah.
down to the customer. Yeah, I really feel like you are someone we could probably go on another 2, 3 hours.
Yeah, but we have to eat chili crabs and pepper crabs for
Oh.
dinner.
And on that note, I have one more question for you.
Yes.
If you needed to have coffee or if you had the opportunity to have a cup of coffee with anyone in the world, living or dead, any period of time, who would it be and why?
Whoa. If I could have coffee, it's either going to be Nelson Mandela,
Whoa. Okay.
okay?
Or, wait. Why Nelson Mandela first?
Because I think I feel that if I could just have 1 hour with Nelson Mandela and to tap his brain, okay, I feel that what I will glean from that hour, okay, is how his character and his personality has affected his wisdom of choice. You're talking about a guy who was in jail for his country and comes out and still loves his country,
Yeah.
and a country that may not love him back. Right? You're talking about a guy who made decisions with that kind of background. Right? So I think an hour with him would give me a very good idea how humble you need to be. Yeah, to have that kind of wisdom, right? The other person would be an author of a book, right?
Okay.
We were soldiers once
Okay.
and young, okay? So how more, right? When I was growing up, I read a lot of leadership books, right? But I realized very quickly that when I became an adult, that business leaders are very interesting because you learn a lot of leadership principles. But when you read and you try to emulate the generals, okay, that is where true leadership really is. Because business leaders, they transact in currency. We transact in money. Generals, they transact in blood. If they make a wrong decision, people die. And Halmo's, we were soldiers once and young, right? It's his account of the Vietnam War or his role in the Vietnam War. And I glean so much of it. I read it about once a year.
Wow.
It's a memoir, right? So he's
Yeah,
writing
wow.
about all his things. But it's the decision making, you see. Again, it comes down to the decision making. You decide what kind of person you want to be. You decide what decisions you make, right? And Nelson Mandela or Helmo. Okay, there you go.
Those are great answers. I always go back and forth on what my answer to discussion would be. And given the situation today, I would like to go forward into the future, the person who invents the cure for COVID-19. And say, can you please help me commit that to memory?
Yeah.
And then come back and bring it back on a USB drive.
Yeah.
So on that note, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure talking to you. We had
you.
more questions, but I really felt like we covered a lot of the things that were close to both of our hearts.
Yeah.
Right, and things that we both care about a lot. I look forward to coming back and talking to you some more.
You're
in the
welcome
future.
anytime. And thank you.
I realized who the person I was talking about that thing with, and it was Jay Karagay, a common friend of ours and world judge. So just a shout out to Jay real quick.
Hey, Jay.
That we've used your story about what do you call it? A senior campus hero, something like that. He used the term like that. So yeah, just a hi to Jay real quick. And if you have enjoyed this discussion, if you'd enjoyed this, if you're consuming it on YouTube or Yardstick Coffee's IGTV or on in the podcast form, we do invite you to please comment or leave a review. This does help a lot. Click the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs down button if you don't agree with us.
Yeah.
But it does help us a lot as long as you make your voice heard. We do want to hear from you, whatever the case. And please do make sure to follow at Daily Drink Mag on Instagram and at Yardstick Coffee on Instagram and Honeycomb Manila on YouTube. We have a lot of different content there for all sorts of different people, but there is a lot of stuff about coffee and about this life and this profession that we love. And we feel, to kind of encapsulate what we've talked about today, how being conscientious about this thing has made us better people continuously. Because I'm very self-aware that I can be quite dick. Let's hope YouTube doesn't read too much into that.
Yeah, and if you disagree, right? Especially if you disagree, put it in the comments. Then we can get conversation started.
Yeah.
Hashtag Bettr Barista with 1E. Shameless plug. But if you're in Singapore and you want coffee classes, yeah. The academy almost never makes money. So all the money goes back into the program. Okay, so all your money will be well worth it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having
And
me.
on that note, let's crab.
Yes. Okay, let's crap.